Day. Welcome to a live and streaming. And before I bring in my next guest, a good friend of mine, I just want to say happy anniversary, Act 3. Today is the 31st anniversary of a monumental record, a great record, a masterpiece. And I thought I'd play this video for you, on a live and streaming before we post it on all our socials. So everyone watching, I hope you enjoy this video.
All killer, no filler.
It was an outdoor show. We were headlining. Forbidden was on the tour with us, and we were having amazing times and massive packed show. Everyone was, young. Everyone was young and partying, and I had just turned 21, or just about to turn 21. Shaving cream all over my body, like just totally thrashed me on stage. And we played the last song or something, and it was just maniacal times. There's a lot of fond memories from the Act 3 era, like the most ever. We were ruling the earth at that time.
Going into the Geffen building back then, during that time, like 89, 90, on Sunset in Hollywood, was just that building took up an entire block, very ornate, and you'd walk in there knowing it was Geffen Records. And that was the first time we actually went into the record company and actually signed the contracts, all of us. So that was probably the biggest thrill, and rating their CD and record collections.
It was just really great to see hometown heroes playing on a bigger stage, and the Warfield. Everyone loves the Warfield, at least people from San Francisco do. And so it was just awesome to see him there. I love that venue and I love the album. So great show, great memories. I think that was the first show I ever stage dove at too.
Man, Act 3. What a record, man. A fucking masterpiece. A lot of variety, a lot of musical styles. And, I was lucky to see that tour in San Francisco. Unfortunately, that era was short-lived. I'm glad I got to see that tour. But at least we have the album Act 3. It's in the heavy metal history books.
There we go. Happy anniversary, Act 3. There you go. First preview of that video before we post it on our socials. Anyways, let's get to it. My next guest, Todd La Torre from Queensrÿche. Here he is. Todd!
What's that?
How you doing, man?
Good.
Good. Good to see you. Everyone, please welcome Todd La Torre from Queensrÿche, or should I say Crimson Glory? Is that right?
Whatever you want.
How you doing, man? When's the last time we saw each other? Was it Mega Cruise?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I think in person, yeah.
Yeah, man. So how you doing, bro?
you know, hanging in there. Just same shit you are.
Yeah, dude, living that pandemic life. But you know, it seems like there's light at the end of the tunnel. So, you know.
Yeah, shows are starting to look, you know. I mean, I think we still have around 20 shows or something like that on the calendar. And so far, a lot of them look like they're going to play. Everyone's getting, you know, a lot of people are getting vaccinated. And so maybe we'll get out there and start doing our thing again soon. Hopefully. It's been, I mean, I've enjoyed being home, as I'm sure you have too.
Yeah.
But, you know, not making the income that we're used to making, and you know, the camaraderie of hanging out with your boys, you know, that's a lot of fun. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and the fans too, just, you know,
Of course. Yeah,
playing
sure.
for the fans and just that energy. Now, before I get started, I do want to touch on your solo record, and I do want to talk about Queensrÿche. But first I want to ask, dude, you're a drummer, a phenomenal drummer, and a phenomenal singer. What came first?
Drums.
Drums came first.
Yeah, I started, actually, guitar came first.
Oh.
I started playing guitar when I was 10. My mom bought me a classical. And so I started playing guitar at 10. And then I got my first real electric guitar, which I still have. It's a USA Queensrÿche, the Crackle. You know, so but at 13, I also got my first acoustic drum kit. And it was just so much easier for me, you know, even though people seem like, oh, how can you have all 4 limbs doing separate things?
Yeah.
I don't know. For my brain, it just came a lot more natural to me. Guitar, I'm a rhythm player. You know, I'm not
right here, bro.
I'm not a shred solo guy, but, you know, I'll play like melodic, slower solo things, but, you know, I'm not like sweep picking fast or doing a lot of crazy shit. But I mean, I do practice my guitar, but I use it more as a songwriting tool. But drums were my main thing, and drums were what I wanted to make it in music as. I wanted to be the drummer in a big band and do that. I mean, I always enjoyed singing. The first song I ever wrote was a song called Give and Take. And I was like 15, and I played everything on it, drums, guitar, and I sang on it. And so, I mean, I always could kind of sing, but I never sang in a band until I joined Crimson Glory in 2010. So I was in my 30s. So I wasn't ever in a band, like trying to front a band. It wasn't something I thought I was good enough to do. And it wasn't something that I just felt really comfortable with. Like, my drums were my blanket, and I was the backbone that kept it all together. And like, that was my thing. So yeah, drums came before the singing thing.
So did you play drums? Did you ever fill in for a band for like a tour, or were you a session drummer? Were you on an album or anything? Or
no, I mean, we did record in a band I was in back in the 90s. We recorded a demo, you know, in a professional studio.
Yeah.
I think it was before CD. Oh, I don't even think we had a CD. We had cassettes.
Okay.
And so I drummed on that. I did some, you know, recordings, but not for anybody famous or anything big. I never toured as a drummer, but I did play locally in the Tampa Bay area, you know, full time as a drummer in an original band. But that band didn't get a label deal or anything. And so, you know, we just kind of split up, and Craig and I continued to like work on stuff for fun, but we were never like in bands again after that.
Wow. So, okay, your first singing gig was in 2010, huh?
Yeah.
How'd you get that? Okay, I'm just gonna get some questions going here, bro. How'd you get that gig?
My friend Matt Laporte, he passed away several years ago, but he played in John Oliva's Pain.
Okay.
Okay, JOP. So he was in Circle to Circle when they first formed with Zach Stevens singing, and you know, John Oliva was writing that music for that band, because Savatage, then they weren't touring under that name. And anyway, he joined John Oliva's Pain. He worked at a local music store. And I was thinking of maybe doing like a Maiden tribute band. This was before tribute bands were really popular. And there was maybe a couple, but it wasn't like a big thing. And he was like, "Oh, you drumming?" I said, "No, I think I'm going to give the singing thing a try." And he's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, I can do a really good Bruce Dickinson, but I don't know if I have the longevity to do that. So he said, "Wow, okay, I said, I can do a lot of the stuff that Zach Stevens did off like the Edge of Thorns record. Like I can sound like that. I can do a lot of different things." So he gave me a song, like just some throwaway demo that he had laying around. And I wrote and sang to that just to kind of give him an idea what I could do. And he was like, wow, he was really impressed. He showed John Oliva. Next thing you know, well, let's see. Okay. So then the original singer for Crimson Glory, Midnight, he passed away. I think it was in 2009. And in 2010, they had a memorial concert at the Prague Power Show in Atlanta. And so Crimson Glory was headlining that night. I think Fate's Warning was headlining another night. And they had all these different guest singers. Well, Matt said, "Do you know Crimson Glory?" I'm like, "I've heard the name, but I don't know their music." And he's like, "Holy shit, they're like Queensrÿche, they're blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Okay." So he just told me, immerse yourself in all of this stuff. And I was like, "Well, why?" Well, he ended up hooking me up with that band to help them rehearse as one of the guest singers, like a role-playing situation. Okay, this guy from this, Mark Bowles, is going to sing this part of this song with this guy. So I was going to be like one of those voices at rehearsal. So I started learning the songs. And when I went there, they were just really impressed with how much I could sound like Midnight. And so I was asked to be one of the guest singers at that show, and nobody knew who I was. I never sang like that before in front of people. And so yeah, I fucking kicked ass on that. And then the next thing you know, because that band was on a hiatus again. And basically I was asked to like songwrite with one of the founding guitarists, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And then they were like, well, basically they offered me to be the singer of the band and resurrect the band. So I did, and we went and did the 25th anniversary of the album Transcendence. And so I toured Europe and did a couple tours with them. And then during that time, John Oliva was doing a record called Festival. And so I did a bunch of backing vocals on that record. I played the hammered dulcimer on one song. So that was cool. And then I met Michael Wilton at NAMM at a Seymour Duncan dinner thing. And we just ended up BSing. And I told him I'm a drummer. Yeah, I sing in a band called Crimson Glory. Actually, Crimson Glory's opened for Queensrÿche before, yada, yada. And then he had some live footage of me to look at my singing. And he said, wow, you remind me of like a younger Jeff Tate, Bruce Dickinson style. And I was like, well, that's a nice compliment. And so that's how I got into the Queensrÿche camp, was meeting Michael at NAMM. But the Crimson Glory gig was just, hey, you guys got to hear my friend Todd. Holy shit, he can do this. And I think he was the one pressing them like, this is your new singer. You should totally. And I was like, look, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, because the other singer, they had another singer named Wade Black who did one record with them, but it was a different style. It wasn't like the Crimson Glory vocal style like was known for. And I was able to do what the sound they were known for. And so it was a weird situation for me, because I knew Wade a little bit and I didn't want to like take his gig, even though the band wasn't doing anything. But that's how I got into Crimson Glory as a singer. And I wasn't trying to be the singer of the band. I wasn't looking for any of that. I mean, I was just thinking of starting a Maiden tribute band, and then fuck, here I am.
Here you are now. Now,
Yeah.
how many years were you with Crimson Glory?
I was with them for 3 years, and then we were writing a concept record, which was going pretty well. and then that guitar player was involved in some illegal stuff, and there was it was all over the internet. There was a big drug sting, and he was part of this big operation where they were coming down on a network of people. And so I just said, hey, why don't you just find somebody else? Let's keep this thing going. And they, for whatever reason, they didn't. And I was actually in Crimson Glory and Queensrÿche at the same time for maybe a year. I'm guessing a year. But I ended up resigning from Crimson Glory just because of the stagnancy. It just wasn't going. And I was like, look, I got to run. And Queensrÿche is a band that doesn't mess around, and they're, on top of their game, and there's constant touring. And like Crimson Glory was, maybe tour a couple of weeks out of a year. It wasn't like everyone had normal careers outside of the band. So
Yeah.
I don't think they were in a position to be touring full time. So I didn't think there would be an issue being in both bands, but I was in Crimson Glory for 3 years. And then this July, I will have been in Queensrÿche for 9 years. And
Wow.
we're doing our 4th record with me right now. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get to Queensrÿche, but to end the Crimson Glory thing, someone from Oulu, Finland saw you live with Crimson Glory some years ago.
I remember that.
Midnight would have been proud. Love your solo album.
That's really nice.
KP, I can't say this person's last name, but he's from Oulu, Finland.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I remember that. We played there, and we played with Iced Earth on that show. Maybe he'll respond, yeah, that was the gig. But yeah, I remember playing that show. I remember playing that show because after that show, backstage, it was set up really kind of interesting. They had saunas, they had hot tub, jacuzzi, they had like all kinds of shit. And I remember like wanting to go into the sauna. And I think I had like my underwear on and a towel. Like I wasn't gonna go there. And I walk in, and there's like all these fucking huge Viking looking dudes, just butt ass naked. And they're like, oh yeah. And I was in there by myself, and then they started walking in, and dude, the towels come off, and I'm like, all right, like I think I'm good. And but that was a fun show. I do remember that gig, and we played with Iced Earth. I think Iced Earth headlined. Yeah.
Dude, Queensrÿche. I want to know, how did you get the gig? I mean, from the time you got the call to the audition, like who called you for that one? Was it Michael?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was interesting because when we talked, I bumped into him at the buffet table, and I've been saying this for years, but I mistook him for Eric Peterson. Because I wasn't really looking at him. Like he was next to me. It was just like this short guy, and I just kind of like I was like, oh hey dude, what's up? And I'm putting food on my plate, and I go, great show last night. And he didn't reply. And I look up, and he's like, huh? I go, yeah, last night at the Grove. And he's like, and I look at him, I go, oh dude, I go, total brain fart. I'm so sorry. I go, I thought you were Eric Peterson. I'm a huge Testament fan. I do know who you are. You're with Queensrÿche. At that moment, I forgot his name, Michael Wilton. Like it slipped my mind for a moment. But I knew he was from Queensrÿche, and I was like, I'm sorry, dude. And so we introduced ourselves, and we got to chat. And I said, hey, if you want to finish the conversation, like I'm starving, do you want to join me at my table? And he kind of pondered for a minute, and he's like, yeah, all right. So we sat down and talked, and I said, yeah, I play drums. I this, I that. He's like, yeah, I do, I'm doing some like music. I do music for like TV and sports things. And like, if you're interested, and maybe I could get your contact. I said, sure. So he did that. And then right after a couple days after I got home, there was an email with like 4 songs in my inbox, but they were like songs. It wasn't like sports reel type jingle stuff. And I was like, wow, this music sounds like Queensrÿche. There was no vocals or anything. It was just music. And I was like, And so I said, hey, I don't know if if you want me to, because he said, can you sing like Chris Cornell? And I was like, actually, I can kind of go there a little bit. I said, and so I replied in the email and said, hey, this music just screams Queensrÿche. Like, I can't think of another delivery on top of this. Like, this is what it needs. And he didn't reply. And I said, I don't know if you're giving me creative freedom to do whatever I want, but of the 4 songs, there's one song that I really like. And so I'm just going to do what I do. So I wrote it. It actually went on the first record I did with him. It's called Don't Look Back. And I sang it and recorded it. I wrote it and recorded it in like a day. And then I shot it back because it just happened,
Yeah.
Some songs just write themselves very quickly. And other times you're like, fuck, I don't have anything. And he was like, okay, wow. And he said, listen, I know you're in Crimson Glory, but how busy is your schedule? And I was like, okay. Finally, I just said, dude, you got to shoot it to me straight. If you want a straight answer, I got to get a straight question. Like, don't beat around the bush. Tell me what's up. He was like, well, Jeff's like promoting his solo record, and Queensrÿche only has a handful of dates for the rest of the year. And the band's being kind of shelved for him to do his solo touring and everything. I'm thinking maybe putting a side project together, maybe with the guys in the band with you singing, and we'll do like maybe a couple covers, and we'll do like some deep cuts, like old Queensrÿche stuff. I'm like, oh shit, wow. And I was like, oh, this is never going to happen, but a nice gesture. Anyway, so he said, can you sing, like, could you record something like Eyes of a Stranger? And so I used like this crappy karaoke filter to try to strip part of those vocals out. And then I re-sang over like Queen of the Reich. I did Child of Fire and Force, like all the old stuff. And he showed the guys in the band, and they were like, wow. And so they were really impressed. He introduced me to Scott and Eddie and Parker. And so I ended up having phone calls with them, and like, wow, this looks like this might really be something. And so we came up with the name Rising West. Initially, the West stood for Wilton, Eddie, Scott, and Todd.
Oh,
And,
wow. Okay.
But they're also on the West Coast. They're in Seattle. And so
Yeah.
we thought Rising West sounded cool. So we went with that. Long story short, we had merch made. We had 2 shows sold out at the Hard Rock in Seattle, and I never played a note with them once or sang in front of them once. So I flew out to Seattle. We met up at Scott's house. We did 8-9 days of rehearsals, and then we did those 2 shows, sold out of all the merch, had a great performance. And that was like, I think June. And then like shit hit the fan with Jeff, and like this whole fiasco went down that I didn't know about at the time. And then they fired him. And the next thing you know, I'm on billboard.com as the new singer of Queensrÿche. And I went, I can't believe this is happening. And
Wow.
so, yeah, dude, that's the shortest version I can give you, but that's exactly how it went down.
Damn, that man, I mean, that must have been pretty overwhelming, right? In a way, like,
yeah, it was
like, what is going on type deal.
Yeah, because when I did the Rising West thing, I was thinking, this is amazing. Like, I'm in the band with Scott Rockenfield and Eddie Jackson.
Yeah.
And Wilt, like, dude, I can't believe. I mean, I know it's not Queensrÿche the name, but who cares? These are the guys that like wrote those songs and albums that I loved, and then there was always that part of my mind that went, but wouldn't it be amazing if it was the Queensrÿche name? And and never in a million years, even then, would I ever think, because he said, look, we'll do this. Maybe we could do some shows, some supplemental income. And then when Jeff's done doing his thing, Queensrÿche will resume, and, that will have been fun.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, dude, like, wow, that would be the biggest thing I ever would do,
Yeah.
And I would be thankful. And if nothing ever greater happened, I would be okay with that. So yeah, when I became the singer of Queensrÿche, and I literally saw like my name with the name, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. This is unbelievable. And then it was photo shoots, and you know the deal.
Yeah.
It was photo shoots, and here we go. I'm gonna do a record. And it was like, okay, maybe I just do one record, but I will have made history. Number one, I made history because nobody ever sang for Queensrÿche before, even in a live situation. So what I was doing was pretty historical. And then I did one record, and then I did second record, and then we did a third record, and we've toured all over, and doors opened that didn't have that. We played Wacken. They never played Wacken for the first time ever in their life till I was in the band. And I'm like, how can this be? And so a lot of opportunities came to be. And I think that people were feeling like, wow, we're hearing a lot of these classic songs. They're not down-tuned. This guy's really embracing that sound, and he's hitting the notes that weren't being hit in decades. And I think that because of the albums that had been released prior to me, post Promised Land album, fans just started dropping off, and it wasn't the Queensrÿche sound that everybody knew and loved. And when I got in the band, it was like, hey man, show me all the music you have. And they would show me stuff. And I remember Michael showing me a song, and I'm like, did you just come up with this? He's like, dude, I've had this on a hard drive for over a decade. And I'm like, well, why didn't you ever do anything with it? He's like, oh, I was told it was too heavy. I was like, okay, you're never going to write anything that I'm going to say is too heavy. So give me everything you got. And the heavier, the better, because Queensrÿche needs to be back doing that sound that you're known for. And so I think there was a lot of interest because the musical direction was going back to the roots and those sounds that people were missing. And it allowed those guys to not be stifled with submitting song ideas and me going, oh, it's too heavy or whatever. Like that's the shit I like, as you know. And so, so it took off from there, but it's pretty hard to believe because I can't imagine if I went back in time and you said, could you imagine this band with another singer? I would say no.
Yeah, totally.
No.
Totally. But I mean, you do a fabulous job, dude. I mean, that mega cruise performance on the deck was like, it was really cool. You guys were so into it. You guys blew the PA and you didn't even know it. You just kept going until the PA came on. It kept cutting in and out, but you guys were so into it.
Yeah, that was quite an issue, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, the cruises are hard because you're talking a lot with people, and as a singer, it's like just the worst thing for your voice is talking.
Yeah.
And so it's always tough, and then it's the daytime, and it's I don't know, it's tough, but people seem to like it, and it was good to be on that cruise with bands that were heavier, and like be more in that kind of world for Queensrÿche. I think is something we like to do, to be paired up or among bands like Death Angel and Megadeth and all those bands that were on there, more of the heavier scene.
Hey dude, let's get to a fan question here.
Yeah.
All right, man. Here, this is from Ben Laird. I think I said his name right.
Yeah, I know who he is.
All right, dude. Here, check this out.
Hi, Ted and Todd. This is Ben.
And I'm Man.
And we just want to check in and say hi. Hope you guys are doing well, having fun. So we both have a question. My question for you, Todd, is how much of your writing style with Queensrÿche was informed by being a fan of the band before you were in the band? And Ian, what's your question?
What's your favorite food? This can be like any food. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, anything you have.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Again, hope you're well. Take care. Have fun. Ian?
Keep rocking.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the first question, I mean, obviously, I was a huge fan of Queensrÿche, and, I was very aware of the elements that are what make Queensrÿche sound the way they do. And so vocally, stylistically, phrasing, I mean, a lot of that's rubbed off on how I write. It's like if you're a guitar player and you grew up loving Stevie Ray Vaughan and you're doing bends like him or certain phrasings like him, by the time, and then you listen to other guys and then you go to write your own solo, you may throw in a bend or there's a thing that you might do that kind of rubbed off on you that you're not thinking, oh, I'm going to do what Stevie Ray Vaughan did, but but it just comes out and you're playing like, oh, there's a nuanced little thing, like how Stevie Ray goes, he back rakes across the strings when he does something, you know. So vocally, you know, I'm sure that, yeah, those things definitely shaped how it was easier for me to do the gig from a writer's perspective. And singing, you know, paying attention to all those little subtleties and nuances that make Queensrÿche sound the way that they do. You know, there's a lot of guys that can sing the notes to Queensrÿche, maybe even better than me, but a lot of times they'll do those crying inflections that, you know, and they overshoot it, they overdo it to where it's like, okay, that's contrived. It doesn't sound natural. You're forcing the sounds, you know, all of those little things. And so it's paying attention to those things. But again, there's also a natural ability that you either have or you don't have. As far as the second question, my favorite food is Greek food. You know, that's my favorite, like the lemon potatoes in the oven and feta cheese. Like my wife's from Greece, and you know, when we go over there and see family and stuff, you know, it's just the best food, is to die for. So Greek food is my favorite, and probably, like, I don't know, I like lunches. I'm not a breakfast guy. I don't eat breakfast.
What?
I haven't eaten breakfast in 25 years. Now, if we're traveling and we're in the airport, okay, I'll get like an egg sandwich or oatmeal, or I'll get some kind of a breakfast. But in my normal daily life, I don't eat breakfast. I have coffee, and then I'll have lunch and dinner.
Yeah. Speaking of coffee, I'm doing the same.
Yeah, I have a coffee over here too.
Okay.
It's not
all right. We'll get to I'll get to another fan question that I want to continue on with. I'm going to finish off with Queensrÿche, and I want to get to your solo record.
Yeah.
So this next question is from Pat Thompson.
Okay.
Here we go.
What's up, guys? Todd, first, thank you for revitalizing my fandom for Queensrÿche. Caught you guys for the first time live about a year and a half ago. I was completely blown away by the respect that you give to the old songs, but man, the new songs are great. You bring like this Dio-ish evil element or sound to Queensrÿche. It's just super cool. But I want to ask about the solo record, man. Congratulations. The biggest thing I get from that solo record, man, is just it does not sound like Queensrÿche. And it's easy to say it's the music, but it's not. It's the vocals. The vocals make this record not sound like a Queensrÿche record, and I don't know how you do that being the voice of Queensrÿche. So my question is, what was your approach coming into this solo record? Was it intentional not to sound like a Queensrÿche record? Yeah, man, what was your approach, or was it just simply organic? Thanks, and see you soon. Later.
That's so cool that people take the time to put that video together. You know what I mean?
I think it's great, man. I really dig it. That's why I want, you know, for all my my streams, I encourage that. I go, if you got any questions for me or whoever's on, send them in. I love that stuff.
That's so, but I mean, they actually take the time to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
totally.
So special thanks to those people for doing
And I saw your CD sitting over there.
Yeah, I saw it.
Recognize. Thank you.
That's good. That's good. That's good marketing and artwork branding. You can identify it easily. So yeah, to answer his question, I do what the music calls for. So like there's a song called Vexed on my record, and the intro is an acoustic. And the way that my vocal delivery is literally exactly how I would approach a Queensrÿche song. It's exactly how I would sing a Queensrÿche song if that was a Queensrÿche beginning. Because that's just what I felt when I did it. So it came very organically when I did my vocals on this record. However, and it came organically because the thrashy, heavier, Mesa boogies, Queensrÿche doesn't sound like that. So that my first thought, or when I'm hearing the music that Craig and I were writing, it's not calling for that clean, pretty vocal. It needs grit and aggression and attack, and to me that's so in that sense it came very organically. Number two, I definitely did not want to do a record musically or stylistically that sounded like Queensrÿche. Like, to me, that's a waste of my time. It doesn't showcase anything different than anybody already knows that I can do. I'm already in Queensrÿche that's going to do the best music that sounds like Queensrÿche, because that's the band.
Yeah.
So I definitely I wanted to not do that. And I wanted to go much heavier than what Queensrÿche is. My record I consider heavy. It's not brutal to me. I mean, I could go much heavier. Like the song One by One with full gutturals, and that's more dark. It's got tremolo picking on some interesting chords. More like chords like Dark Funeral would play. But that was a much more brutal song. But in the context of my record, this was the opportunity for me to just do whatever I wanted with no restraints, no rules, no history of my own records before me that led to an expectation of what people think it's going to sound like. They didn't know what it was going to sound like because I never did a solo record before. So this allowed me to do vocal phrasings that were all over the map, from Vanguards of the Dawn Wall that had a very overkill-ish type of a delivery, that shrill, high, staccato kind of a thing, to more melodic, lower register vocals on Crossroads to Insanity. Some people always say, oh, it sounds like Rob Halford on Pretenders, or, there's some things that I do that are in that vein. So in closing to that question is, I'm able to do different things with my voice, even though the guy says, oh, you're the voice of Queensrÿche now. Basically, maybe how could I sound like that if I'm able to sing the Queensrÿche stuff that way? But it's no different than your guitar. So if you plug in your guitar, which can be found on reverb.com and everywhere else, and it's amazing. I want your signature series fucking white ESP. It's so badass. But anyway,
Thanks, man.
If you have your guitar and you're just known for all this palm muted, thrashy type of playing, and that's your sound. This is my rig. This is my my distorted sound. And then you put on your front pickup on a clean channel with some chorus and a little bit of delay, and you're doing other phrasings and clean picking and very melodic stuff. And they're like, I know you could sound like that. It's like, well, because you only know me for the distorted heavy shit. I mean, even though you'll play some clean stuff too,
Yeah.
but you're so I kind of like to compare the voice to like an instrument that has other capabilities.
Gotcha.
Some singers have one sound, and they might be amazing at it, but they still sound like one thing. So if you took a certain singer, no matter what they sing on, which is great, you're going to go, that's this guy. And it's great to be immediately identifiable. At the same time, it's a little boring to me. I want to be able to have other textures and other colors and capabilities of doing gritty, scratchy, harsh things to clean, melodic, operatic, to of just varying things. I like to have those in my tool bag because songs, no matter how heavy a song is, with certain clean vocals, it's only going to sound so heavy. I mean, if you look at your band, right? When Mark gets into that really, kind of shrilly, and it's like, damn, if he was doing that clean, it's just not going to have the brutality.
Yeah, I get what you're
there
saying.
are times when those characteristics are just like, they take that song to that whole other dimension. Whereas a singer that can't do that, it limits the song. It's a limitation on the song. So it came organically to me to do the solo stuff. And I also was mindful that, hey, I want to write a heavier album than Queensrÿche does. And I don't want to sound like Queensrÿche on this.
Gotcha. Dude, speaking of solo record, I want to play your video.
Okay.
I want to, hold on, let me get this up and ready here. This is a really cool song, Vanguards of the Dawn Wall. So I'm going to play it for everyone here. So let's have a good time. Let's check it out. Here we go.
Punished to the 40.
dude.
Those are my friends that are climbing in that. So when we shot that, there were no film crews filming it during like that quickly into the shutdown, right?
Yeah.
With the pandemic. And,
dude, that's a great song, man. That's a total departure from Queensrÿche. Felt like you had to get your, like, you're a big fan of thrash metal and the heavier stuff. Like it's bubbling up inside that you needed to get it out. You can't get it out with Queensrÿche. You know what I mean?
Right. So there were no film crews doing that, and that song is written about these climbers, right?
Yeah.
And so I have some friends that live out in the Pacific Northwest that climb, and I was like, hey, dude, Craig and I are going to shoot the video ourselves. There's no film crews doing anything right now, and it's either don't have a video or we just do it ourselves.
Yeah.
So I said, fuck it, we'll do it ourselves. So and then I said, the next time you guys go climb, just grab your phone. I don't care that it's not like crazy high res. Just grab your phone and then send me everything, and I'll cut it up and do what I want with it. And so those are my friends that are climbing in that video.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, dude, we're just going to do it super in-house, and just Craig and I are going to do the whole thing ourselves. And we did that video, just the two of us. Yeah.
Is that you behind the kit?
Yeah.
Look at that. You play drums on your own record.
Yeah.
You played some guitar, right?
I didn't play any guitar on the recordings. No.
Okay.
But you know, I mean, most of the music Craig came up with. Like, we would talk about it and he'd be like, oh, what do you think of this riff? And I'm like, yeah, that's sick. And then there's a song called Darkened Majesty that I actually there's a pre-chorus that's like this cool guitar riff that I showed Queensrÿche for the last record. And you know, it just didn't, they passed on it for whatever reason. I was like, all right, well, I'm keeping this thing. And so I ended up writing the music for Darkened Majesty, and I showed that to Craig. And then I think he came up with the chords for the rhythms behind the solo in that song. So I did write parts, but I didn't play any guitars on this recording. But on the Verdict, I did play a guitar solo on the song Portrait, and then like all the lead work and sliding and everything on Portrait. I played that, which was great. I played these things on the demo, and I showed Michael and the guys, and I was like, you know, I just put something down to show that this is the solo section and this pretty slide guitar thing at the end. And he's like, dude, I'm good with it. Let's just keep it. You have the DI? I said, yeah. He goes, we'll just reamp through my Kemper on my lead channel, and we'll leave it. I was like, you're going to keep my solo on the record? He's like, yeah. I think it's great. There's no need to change it. I was like, holy fuck. Okay. So yeah, that was really awesome. But Craig is so good at coming up with riffs. I mean, he's a killer player. And I love the rhythms in Vanguards. You know, that's
why I played it. It's the tune that I like. I was like, really heavy. It's like really cool stuff. Totally different from Queensrÿche. So that, like you said, you shouldn't.
It's an outlet.
It's an outlet, and you shouldn't do something that's similar to Queensrÿche. You know, you got to do something different.
Totally.
Dude, like, are you planning to tour with this solo record?
I would love to do live shows with this. When touring opens up and you guys are back on the road, Queensrÿche's going to be back on the road too. So as far as like touring where I'm doing all these cities, I can't imagine that I would have time to do that. But if we had a few weeks off or a couple weeks off or whatever, and you know, Death Angel's coming to town, you know, I would love to either jump on some opening slots for, you know, a band like Death Angel or Overkill or Testament, or I would love to do something like that, or even play with Flotsam, you know. But then I would like to do some headlining shows on my own, which I think I could totally do. But it would be fun to be in front of like your audience,
or even festivals. You know?
Well, I've actually had, you know, some offers to play some pretty big festivals in Europe
Oh, cool.
on my solo stuff. So, but again, it's just, you know, if I'm over in Europe, if festivals are happening, probably Queensrÿche is playing. But at some point, I definitely will do live shows with this. It's just a matter of finding the downtime to be able to make that happen. But I would love to, even if it was just like an East Coast thing, you know, up in like New York, Jersey, come down, you know, maybe I
Yeah.
do 5-6 shows. I mean, I would love to go to Europe and play a handful of festivals. I don't give a shit what time slot. Just get me on a good stage, and maybe a couple club shows, and then come home. Because I think this material would be a lot of fun to play live. And what I do like about this, Ted, is a lot of bands don't don't want to release their record until they can tour on it,
Yeah.
right? And I was always of that mindset, like, oh yeah, you know, when we plan a tour, okay, the record's gonna come out here, our second show, the album comes out, or the first show, or it's like timed right in that window. But I kind of have a different thought process now, which is I don't really care if the record's out and then I tour on it later. And here's why. When you go out and you play new songs, you're playing all the main ones everybody's going to hear, but then you're going to throw in 2, 3, 4 new songs, whatever it is. They're just like this. They don't know it unless you put out 2 videos and they've kind of just been looping it. Now they know that song. Of the new songs they're going to play, maybe they know that one. But when I go to play my record live, perform on it, everybody that's going to show up, they're going to know these songs because the record's out. They've learned it, and now they can sing along. So instead of that being the oddball song, they're going to sing that chorus. You know, they're going to know the songs. And I think that's a cool thing that I don't know that so much emphasis needs to be placed on touring right when the record comes out. If the record comes out and you tour 6 months later, I don't know. To me, I'm okay with that because they've had a chance to absorb it and digest it, and they'll sing. They'll be more interactive at the live show with the new material.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from on that, though. I totally get where you're coming from. But new record, Rejoice in the Suffering, is out on Rat Pack Records. Is it?
Yep. Yep.
It's out now. Everyone, buy it, stream it, do whatever. But let's support my good friend Todd here. And I want to play one more fan question.
Okay.
You know, then I got a couple more before we.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. This is from Scott Dockendorf. He's a drummer, by the way.
Okay.
Hey guys, what's up? Pack member Scott from Dallas here. I hope you're both doing well. Todd, man, I'm a huge fan of your work. Love the solo album, and I gotta say, your last Queensrÿche show in Dallas before the pandemic hit, it was awesome. Perfect sound, flawless execution. You guys were great. My question for you is, okay, you're an insane vocalist. You're an accomplished drummer. You can play guitar and bass, etc. I've seen you fill in for drums with Striper and some other bands, and killer work on the Verdict. But I have to ask, what do you enjoy most out of all your musical talents? What do you enjoy performing the most? And Ted, my question for you is about songwriting for Alive and Screaming. How much of that had you been working on for a while and you knew and you wanted to bring to it? Like, was it the riff and the guitar parts, or did you also have an idea of where you wanted the bass lines and the drums to go? I was just curious how much of that was you're like, I've been working on this song for years and I've got an idea, or was it organically kind of grown with the group? I'd love to hear those stories. Thanks again. Love these. Peace out.
You can answer that first question, fuck Todd, for you.
All right. I don't know if he's asking like of the albums that I did, which one I like more. I think he was referring to you can sing, you can play drums, you can blah blah blah. Which do you
I think that's what he's referring to.
Which do I enjoy doing more? Drumming, singing, guitar, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Overall, I would say probably drumming, but there are parts of songs that I enjoy singing more. You know, they're like, you know, it just depends on the song. It's hard to say because drumming has always been I always say that I consider myself a drummer that likes to sing, right? I don't take the singing thing particularly. I mean, I take it seriously, but not really. I mean, like, I don't follow all the rules. I don't do all these regimen things. Like, you know, I drink coffee and I fucking smoke cigarettes and I eat what I want. And like, I don't know, man. I don't really pay attention to the rules. And I just do what I do and I have fun doing it. And I know my voice and I know my capabilities and my strengths and weaknesses. But there's parts where, like, when you're singing and you're giving it that, there's a passion that goes into that vocal delivery that you don't feel the same on the drums. You know, you don't quite feel the same. But in a greater context, like, I don't know, I'm always thinking about the groove and the pocket and being like the band and it part of the band, not just like a singer. Because I listen to the guitars and I listen to the bass line and I'm paying attention where the kick and the bass need to go together and all of these different things. So it's kind of a different set of ears as a drummer, but I wish I could give him just a direct answer. Both for different reasons. I can't really just say one for sure over everything else, unfortunately.
I feel you on that. Now I got to answer a question that he asked me. Oh man, I was hoping it would be all Todd Day, but it's not. Alive and Screaming. You know, it's funny. My only contribution on the last record of that song. It's funny that I keep it. The song's called Alive and Screaming, but my show is called Alive and Streaming. So I get it mixed up. I go, oh, you know, that song Alive and Streaming. Oh no, Alive and Streaming. You know, it's one of those things.
Shameless plugs.
Totally. That's actually I do remember that song. The intro riff and the verse riff I've had for years. At the end of the Dream Called for Blood, right when we were starting to do Evil Divide, I was actually playing those riffs during line checks on tour. But it wasn't until like before Humanicide, during the writing sessions for Humanicide, I went back and busted out my 24 track and started listening to some of the riffs. And I remember those two riffs, the intro and the verse, I was playing them, I put them together, then all the other parts just came right away, put a certain skeleton to it, guitars with a click track. I sent it over to Rob. I said, hey, check this out. What do you think? And all of a sudden he sends it back with drums. Like Will already did the drums. He goes, oh yeah, I took that tune. Will laid some drums and Rob did some minor arrangements and Mark sang on it. And that's how the song came about, which is, it's a pretty cool tune. Just, you know, thrash tune.
That's great.
Yeah.
You should
What?
On the side, you should have had a fucking misprint typo on the CD.
That'd be killer.
For the first run, and then every time somebody goes Alive and Streaming, you know, for the song, it comes up with your show.
Yeah, totally. Todd, I'm getting to the point of the show. We're closing out. I have a Dirty Dozen. I'm going to give you 12 questions. You can answer.
Okay.
Mild or spicy?
Spicy.
Nice, man. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
All right. A movie you can watch over and over.
Goodfellas.
Well, it's a good movie. I just saw that like a couple weeks ago. Again. What time does your alarm go off?
I don't set an alarm, but if I do, around
internal. 10 a.m. Oh, that's East Coast time, so it'd be set. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What's a song you love to sing when you're all alone?
Ooh. There's I don't remember the name of the title. Let me find it. It's from Terrence Trent D'Arby.
Holy.
Hold on.
You're bringing it back, bro.
I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Please.
It's off of his first record. And it's called, here we go, discography. His first record. Was that it? Let's see. That's it. Okay, track listing. It's called As Yet Untitled.
Okay, that's the song, huh?
Yeah, it's an a cappella thing. And he's got a killer voice, Terrence Trent D'Arby.
All right, man. I'm gonna have to look that up when I'm done here today.
Yeah, he's like an R&B guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But he does these killer scales and movements, and I don't know, I just love that song. Anyway.
Your dream vacation.
Oh, just going to Greece. Say, I'm even wearing a
Athens.
Yeah.
Look at you.
It's my favorite place.
All right, man. One thing about you that probably annoys others.
Say that again. One thing about me that probably annoys others.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have a tendency to interrupt, and I have to be mindful not to do that.
Okay. Well, that's it. That's new. All right. Your favorite smell.
My favorites. One of my favorite smells.
There you go. One of
gardenia.
Okay, gardenia. Nice.
Gardenia. Yeah.
Well, you already play a lot of shit. So, an instrument you wish you could play.
Piano.
Piano. Oh, you know what? I would figure you already would know how to play piano if you know how to play guitar.
I can't play piano.
You plan on starting?
I mean, I have my 41 key, controller, and I'll do, little thing, but I'm this guy. Okay, ding. I have to like punch in and create sections. I can't just sit there and play the piano. I wish I could. Okay. Yeah, that's an instrument I wish I could play. Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how good of a dancer are you, Todd?
Is 5 the best?
5's the best.
Oh God, I don't dance, dude. I have rhythm. I have rhythm. If I were to dance, I don't know, 2 or maybe a 3.
Okay. Well, this question, I'm going to ask it anyway, but you just already answered it for me earlier on.
Okay.
What did you have for breakfast today?
I didn't. Yeah.
Okay, here's a bonus question.
Okay.
Dickinson or Halford?
I hate answering these questions.
That's why I'm giving them to you, buddy.
Damn. They're just so different from each other. If I could only, I would say maybe Dickinson, because little more baritone, little more drama in some of those performances. So maybe for that reason. I love Halford more for the shrill, high metal stuff, but I love Dickinson for the, all of the dramatic deliveries and the vibrato and those kinds of things. So if I had to choose, I love them both. I would probably choose Dickinson.
Okay, one last question. What is next for Queensrÿche? What's any news coming up?
Yeah, so we're writing songs for the next record. God, we probably have 25 ideas at varying stages. The guys are actually flying here next Friday, and we're going to do another 10 days of solid songwriting. We were always doing it email,
that
whole thing. And we've been talking about, like, we just need to do it old school and get in a room and just fucking jam and come up with ideas on the fly. And that's what we've done on the last 2 writing sessions. And it's like, Michael will be playing something. I'm like, wait, do that again. Okay, what about this? What about this chord? What about this note? And be like, okay. Or, Casey will be playing something on the drums, and I'll be like, hey, what if you did the backbeat here and see how it changes and those things, recording it one way and then go, okay, sending the emails out. Okay, at this many seconds and blah, blah, blah. Here's where it changes. Let us know what you think. Hey, dude, I'm out, doing yard work. And when I get back, and then it takes a week to just be like, yeah, I like it, or no, I don't like it. Never mind conveying their proposed changes. So we're getting into a room, We're writing new songs for the next record. Hopefully we can track by sometime by the end of this year and put out a record. I don't know, maybe April-ish would be nice. I don't know when it'll happen, but I'm thinking by the time touring is really going to be able to kind of do what it needs to do, we're probably looking at that time next year. So
Okay.
I think if we usually, what is it, 90 days? They usually want the
Yeah, like
the
3 to 4
masters.
months. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 to 4 months. So, you know, if we're done by the end of the year, that gives us enough time to have the masters turned in and have product made and be able to have a new record out early mid next year. So it's going really well, man. I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, you know, it's a lot of work, and sometimes you just get writer's block, and it's like, yeah, this is good, but is this like the money chorus? Is this really the one? So I've been experimenting with things. I've got just a mountain of songs in front of me that I have to be submitting stuff, but it's going good, man. We're writing and doing our thing. What about you?
Right now, you know, writing is slowly going to start. We're just getting together in the room to jam, you know, just jam, because, you know, the world, who knows what might happen in a few months. So we're just, you know, we haven't seen each other in a while. So we're just a couple times a week, just get together, play for fun, you know.
And how close do you guys live in proximity to each other?
Not that far. Like where we rehearse, it's the center. So we're outside.
Perfect.
We're in the Bay Area. All of us is in the Bay Area, but we're we're 20 minutes away from our rehearsal room.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Something like that. So we get
Everybody.
together. Yeah.
Everybody. Okay, perfect.
And we just get together to jam and just mess around with old songs. Just our category, just to get together. You know what I mean?
That's great.
But we'll start writing soon. We just, you know, it'll get there.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah,
get there.
good.
But everyone, Todd, first and foremost, thank you very much for, you know, taking the time out to be on live and streaming. Everyone, if you like Vanguard of the Dawn Wall, pick up Todd's album, Rejoice in the Suffering, out on Rat Pack. Todd, the floor is yours if you want to give any info on where to get it.
Sure.
Any Todd info.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on your show, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, the record can be purchased, well, digitally. You can get it on Amazon and everywhere else. Rat Pack, RATPAK Records. They have the record there available. We also have cassettes. Actually have one floating around here somewhere. Check this shit out.
Oh yeah.
How cool is that? Yeah.
Tapes.
So yeah, there's people that just want to buy tapes. So we have a lot of cool things there. And then on my official website, it's just toddlatorre.com. If they go to the shop tab, it'll link them to my merch store. And we have I have shirts, I have albums with signed album flats, I have masks, I have some various things, album t-shirts. So yeah, if they want to check out any merch stuff, and we're going to be adding more stuff soon, like some baseball caps and some beer, you know, bottle flat keychain bottle openers and stuff. But you know, thanks so much to everybody for checking out the record and supporting this. It means a lot to me. And thanks for tuning into Ted's show, and I really appreciate it, and sharing me with your audience and everything else. So yeah.
No problem. I hope we get to see each other soon. Todd, thank you again. Have a good Saturday, dude.
You too, brother, man. Thanks so much, and I'll give you a shout here in the next day or two.
Right on, dude. And
all right,
everyone on the live and streaming. See you later.
Thanks.